Welcome back to Design Bing Bong, episode 2. This is a show where we take actual good portfolios out there and we're gonna go and we find them and we bring them to you. Starting off with, I've recently found out how to pronounce this guy's name. It's actually Nejc. It's not. Also, there's a crazy guy screaming outside.
Oh shit. That guy's yelling.
All right, anyway, it's actually Nejc, which I would have never in a million years guessed. I just kept saying Nejc.
It's not Ned.
Nejc. This seems like it's sound. It's Slovenian. He's a Slovenian designer that spent time in New York, went to Yale, I think, as well, but now operates his own studio in Slovenia. So I first heard about this guy when I was following the creative director, the GOAT, Richard Turley. Richard Turley was a creative director at Bloomberg Business Week, where he curated this team of like superstar designers that were all pretty experimental and brought something really interesting to an otherwise like very dry financial publication, which was super refreshing and interesting to see how to kind of like operate within those limitations and confines. So here are just some examples of some of the first things I've seen by Nejc. Very clever work. It's not necessarily the most experimental, but it's kind of like the first instance of tone and comedy within design. Angela Merkel, different battery percentages. Then we got the big change at the top of Wall Street when in reality it's just like two old guys being swapped out. Oh. How low can these stocks go just making it a limbo, you know?
Kind of like the bald head at the top more.
I would trust the top head with my money more, right?
Yeah.
That's why like the stocks went too low. Who's that guy that you're talking about that had the really...
Oh, Mark Andreessen.
Yeah, the pointier the head, the better, you know? From there, there's like a huge exploration of like how to up the editorial page, taking content that's like so serious and putting ridiculousness into the mix. For example, coloring the word bigot in this way, having these really dull, you know how you, for projects, you get like really bad headshots of everyone on the team. This is like a very ridiculous way to arrange them, draw their bodies and put text in them. So this is just one of my favorite covers that he did. Really simple showcase of like how a Chinese company might be overthrowing Uber, taking the word Uber Slayer and putting it in this format, you know, very contrasting the nerd in the middle. It really spoke to me. From there, like just seeing how far he could push, again, like being limited by editorial means, seeing how out there it could get, including these very organic hand-drawn crayon marks. It almost looks like your kid made this. But then like taking that and putting it in a much more serious context, like the front page New York Times. Pressure testing, how far you can take this very childlike hand-drawn stuff, make it feel premium. But then from there, he kind of expanded in some more digital work, which this middle thing was a Ginza and Tokyo Type Directors Club poster. You go, what the hell is this? Using the fake 3D in Illustrator, creating something very graphic but still like absurd. That line of absurdity through his work is something that always really spoke to me. Then taking that attitude and applying it to art direction as well. Working with a lot of fashion magazines, working with Nike, this like Shanghai street style, all of this stuff. It kind of has the same energy, almost like schizophrenic punk vibe. And then this is a big showcase of just the typography. It's all insane. It's like drawn with like VR and 3D, like you can spin it at different angles. It really hit me once I started seeing his aesthetic being put on like actual big music releases. Gilligan Moss, great record, crayon, colored pencil, scribble technique used all across the release of this album and singles as well. I was like, oh shit, he did work for Frank Ocean doing the singles for a radio show and also this prep event that was like an AIDS awareness type thing. Even creating this like stupid little system on the bottom of like all these little icons where like each icon represented a single to come and it kind of shows you which one it's on. Very weird ideas that are just, they make sense, but like you wouldn't think to do them. These are some of the posters for the prep event. Creating a whole system where it feels like cohesive and almost like a brand system with this insane affected typography was just something really, really striking.
Kind of feels like Microsoft Word art on acid.
Yeah, it's just so interesting to see how the evolution from the crayon and the color choices, like when you're limited to that vibrant box of crayons, and then how he translates that to digital is very similar like approach.
Very like childish in a refined way.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit more serious, I think this was like a quick branding project he did for a small like photography gallery installation called Ponjava. I think there was like production limitations where they like couldn't do a lot of printing or color spot checking. So he just ripped a bunch of construction paper and made a million permutations of every letter and just used that throughout the entire exhibition.
I didn't even recognize those were letters at first.
Ponjava.
Punjan.
This is Baltic. I think it was like a New York production studio that got him to brand their work and create the website. Insane logo, being able to look at it at all different axes, seeing all the different levels and pieces put together. There's even stuff on the back that you normally can't see. It's like a nice detail. Weird Rubik's Cube animations. Some of the craziest, most bonkers custom typography for like a real brand system I've ever seen.
I think that cube is so weird. It just doesn't, it doesn't fit. Like, why is it on a cube? It doesn't make sense.
It really, yeah, and it's like stuck on specific pieces, but like just goes through. It just, stupid f***ing idea, that's good.
Little known fact, apparently the back side of the Windows logo has a picture of Jeffrey Epstein.
What?
You never really think about what's behind the logo.
Like what's behind the logo. The ways that it's being distorted and flipped around is just extra dumb. It like doesn't feel smooth. It kind of just breaks all expectations of like how things should move.
I like how it says okay at the bottom.
Yeah, so this is like what pops up on the website. Yeah.
Oh, this website uses cookies. That's what it says.
This is the best cookies message.
More effort you really need to put in, but I respect that.
This was like the main feature of the project. And lastly, there was just like another example of how this crazy mentality can be put into a brand system. This is for Center, ROG, or ROG. I think it was just like this art institution basically in Slovenia. This logo, you know, like cutting out the piece of the O. Looks like an accident that you would get from like messing up the pen tool in Illustrator, but keeping that as like one of the most prominent aspects of the logo type design.
So easy to do this badly. And this is the type of thing I feel like when you first go in Illustrator, you kind of try to do, but to get it to that nice balance and feeling refined, but also stupid.
I can't even tell if it is good. Like it looks pretty bad. It's bad. Like it's literally, I would not use that ever, but like, hey, he pulled it off. There are things in there that I know it's on purpose, but it's just like, wow.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think it's
you
like
really sold that in.
I feel like a part of the process is like f***ing up and then like owning it and just like not looking back. It's like drawing in pen versus pencil.
Yeah.
How that flexes across a brand system, it makes no sense. Like the system doesn't have like a set, it's like this random typeface, but it's like 10 different typefaces, like stretched and distorted in different ways. But the eclecticism is what makes this brand. You wouldn't even think these are like part of that same system, but they're using that same typography. It has this like taped on effect to, again, look low budget in an intentional way. I think one of the things I read about the project was that they didn't want it to feel like a pretentious art institution. So this was one of the ways around that. Look at these icons, we're gonna zoom in here. It's like all really badly hand-drawn, but
terrible
they're
icons.
all animated in 3D as well.
On first glance, I would think those icons are like stock icons that you download off Creative Market, but then you realize it's all hand drawn, which
it's like someone peeing in a urinal, a dog taking a poop, or just a fat baby.
It really makes me wonder, like, does he do all of this design like really fast, one take, done, and like that's why it looks like that, or did he make like 15 versions of each of these icons and then like pick them? I don't know.
I think it's the former.
that's what makes it good. You can't tell.
I feel like there's something to be said about like stream of consciousness design, where you don't make any cohesive like top-down level decisions. You just kind of like wing it, just do everything, and then whatever you make is what it is.
Like I love that approach. I'm so curious how he sold this in. Like the client just must be so cool about it.
Definitely not American, if I had to guess.
Yeah. And then these are just some select moments of like how it manifests on like physical forms as well, like the big ROG on the outside of the building. That's the signage. Is crazy.
Is that even the same ROG?
It's not. It's just whatever he felt like that day. The crosswalk is like completely broken.
I love
and
that.
Doesn't make any sense, but there's something so beautiful about that. It's a nice move. So I just wanted to end on this last image. It's just a random image that he made that I really enjoyed. It's silly, it's stupid, makes no sense.
Great. It really feels like a kid in a sandbox.
Yeah, there's like a lot of freeness, like unencumbered, not really thinking about having to justify your decisions. It led to some happy accidents. It seems like, it looks like a lot of like rolling with mistakes and forcing them to work aesthetically.
What makes this stand out a lot to me is like everything about it is so stupid, but then it's put into projects that are held with like the highest regard, like an art institution, a financial magazine. These are things that are supposed to be like quote unquote smart academic applications, and then applying this like no thinking, no thought process, pure childish energy into esteemed institutions is like something that's very potent to me.
All right. I'm bringing a studio to your attention today called Sucuk und Bratwurst. It's a German studio, pair of brothers with their friends, Turkish and German collaboration. If you don't know, Sucuk is a Turkish sausage made with beef, so it's halal, and Bratwurst is obviously pork, so it's the combination of two sausages. You know, as long as balls don't touch, it's all good. Yeah, so I just want to read their names because it's a little challenging. Alessandro Bellerio, David Gunner, Dennis Olak, and Lucas Olak. This studio, they do a lot of corporate work. They do stuff for like music videos, like some local musicians, but a lot of their stuff, similar theme to the last episode, is like self-initiated projects, things they do for themselves, and then products they release and sell on their own store. But in general, they have this really sick art direction, the sense of humor that I strive for, where it's like a little bit silly. Like they got one of their friends to, you know, shave their chest to like put the stickers on to like show off their new logo. Energy and excitement that makes it feel like a fun place to go and work with your friends.
It's funny you said they made him shave his chest, because I didn't think that he had to shave his chest.
Yeah, what if he just looks like
But
that?
I guess like maybe he's a, you know.
I mean, I guess
We're just Asian.
if he's Turkish, definitely had to shave his chest. I don't know, maybe German.
It looks like German.
Like there's
nipples.
not even hair on the nipple area. I don't know, maybe tell me in the comments if you think he shaved his chest. So this was a project. They did a 3D animation of a mantis in the style of Matisse, created that into this 3D print, and they sold this as just an art object you could put on your desk. It's really stupid. It's kind of like a haha idea, like not a lot of thought behind it, but they just carried it out in such a beautiful way. And there's really something about the mantis form that speaks to Matisse in like the cutout era.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
just
was gonna
works.
say those long limbs.
Didn't you have like a curtain that had that woman on it?
Oh yeah, one time.
Yeah,
I think so.
When I saw this, I was like, oh, I've seen this branding project before, but I realized I saw the Matisse version and I noticed they added an N into the logo.
Yeah,
but kept the
Matisse.
logo exactly the same.
Yeah, they don't care about, you know, copyright. They do a lot of stuff just remixing logos.
Matisse's actual logo.
No,
For the
well, it was the
exhibition,
logo
yeah.
for an exhibition.
Oh.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of work for Alexandra Wang. 3D design studio, you know, thinking about ways to show a product in a silly, unique way. Falling on top of a taxi cab, obviously, you know, playing with scale. This other one I thought was really funny. They have this chunky sandal and they just made this animation to imagine, you know, what if there was this Chinese dragon inside the sandal. It's not actually in there, but it just makes you think like they're really special and exciting, and you might actually cut it open just to double check.
I would hope that it's actually in there. Like that would make
Or-
it so cool.
Yeah, or it's like a golden ticket thing where you're like one out of
One of
million.
them. Macaron, the
Macron.
president. Yeah, you know, some French bullshit. They turned it into a grinder. You know, I'm sure this started as an idea of just a 3D render, but then to go that extra step and produce it and sell it is just what makes it much more funny to me personally. It's like seeing, you know, the packaging to prove that, you know, this is actually really made. This might be my favorite of their self-initiated like selling projects. They just made bar of soap to look like drugs and sold it in a drug bag. I feel like there's a lot of trends now with all these natural soaps and like how could you sell soap for $20 to like men who don't buy soap? And I feel like this is the first one that actually speaks to me. Like I would be so excited to buy that, get it in the mail, crack it open and smell it.
Mitsubishi
Yeah, it was
meets,
like Mitsubishi.
meets Molly.
That must be like a street drug reference. If you do Molly on the streets of Berlin, you probably know what that means. Sadly, that's not me. This was a filter they made for just having a long tongue, and they did that to sell this jacket that they produced. They just did this really weird photo shoot with like a really long tongue, and I don't think it has anything to do with the outfit, but they were selling this like covered in different patches, saying like random stupid stuff. You know, this commitment. I really like that picture of the girl leaning on her tongue, striking.
It's almost like they thought of this first and then designed the jacket later.
Yeah, it's like why? They've done work for Nike, but this is not commission. This is just stuff they do on their Instagram. Like the stupidest things they could make into the Nike logo. The shrimp is probably my favorite. I also like the baguette. The croissant is good too. Like I would buy that at a Nike store if they were selling Nike swoosh croissants. Like why not, right? This is another commission for Rimowa. They just do really stupid ideas, full bore, like 100%. You know, what if it was a candy that popped up and then ballooned out into the luggage and then popped back into a different color?
Yeah, why not?
It's just like, why? But then you look at it and you know, it's something I might save on my Instagram. And when do I save an ad ever in my life? Taking it to that next level.
I love that they like foreshadow the color change with like the different center of the candy.
Yes. No, you gotta have double layers of flavor.
I'm assuming they didn't actually make the candy, but it would
They-
be cool if they did.
I kind of like, I want to eat the candy more than I want to buy the luggage.
They made the package in real life and photographed it, but I don't think they made the candy like from a candy maker perspective. They sell a lot of, you know, branded merch for their websites. Sucuk, again, is sausage in Turkish. I think they all smoke cigarettes, so they have a lot of cigarette-based stuff. So they make these scarves out of cigarettes. For me, this wasn't like the most cool thing they made, but they like take it one step further and make like a whole cigarette suit. And then they got their friend to like light themselves on fire wearing it. And it's just like that extra step is what pushes it over the edge for me. I think a lot of times you could have an idea and it maybe isn't the best idea. And then you take it one step further and then you take it that next step. And that's when it becomes just like really cool in my opinion.
Art onion.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta peel back the layers here. And of course they're smoking while they're on fire. So little detail.
It'd be cooler if she died.
Wow.
So this is another thing they make and sell, just like a silly hat that's like using the New York Yankees logo to create like why not. They do cool product photography, like really lo-fi. They love having barbed wire and everything. Maybe it's commentary on the immigrants in Germany, I'm not exactly sure. But then like they really over-design the tag that goes inside of it. And then they create this ad that they put in this like art magazine.
Consume.
I feel like when you wear that hat, you have to let that tag
The
hang.
tag has
Yeah.
to stick out, right?
Right.
It's like the coolest part. And then they had an art gallery where they just made it inflatable. I feel like this is again, that one last step, you know, it's not a great design formally, but it's like what they do with it and then they don't stop and they do more with it. That energy is something I really aspire to have in my work.
Hats are just funny in general, but when you make it large,
Yeah.
It's like, I can't wear that.
There's so many times we've talked about inflating things, like making large inflatable things, but they
Yeah.
found a way to do it, which is just kind of pisses me off because I wish I had inflated something by now.
I know.
Last, like this is just some random stuff they make, and I don't think they sell the cheese crock, but I just thought that was really funny to me. Making a crock out of Swiss cheese because, you know, the holes in the crock. This shirt they sold on their website, Life So Hard, Dick So Soft, just like spray painted. Three-headed Beanie Baby. Three-headed Beanie Baby shark. Just things that you could do if you do whatever you want. You know, stop trying so hard to get the perfect idea or like thinking it through all 100%. Just start making things and then pushing it until it's so crazy that it deserves to exist.
love it. So I kind of see a through line with kind of all three of our presentations today. It's just like people doing whatever the fuck they want, and I don't know how they have the money and budget to do it, but somehow they make it work. It's crazy.
Yeah. I feel like this place reminds me of like a more lo-fi version of Mischief Studio.
Yeah.
Which I kind of appreciate because it's more gritty and it kind of fits with their whole Berlin vibe. I always love when there's a lot of attention given to an idea that doesn't deserve it.
Sometimes I think maybe if we lived in Europe, we had healthcare, we didn't have crippling student debt. If we had these shackles removed from us, would we be making better art? Consumerism is not like the best thing for creativity. I mean, that's all I can say.
While all of their things are consumer goods.
Yeah, I mean,
It's full circle.
We're back. Design Bing Bong. Today I am presenting a studio called Workbyworks. They are based in Shanghai. They have an office in New York. Collaboration between Hangao Wenbo Yi and Shilu Wang.
Are you sure those are the tones?
Probably shouldn't have said that. Hangao Wenbo Yi and Shilu Wang. They are Workbyworks. Found them on Instagram. This is branding for a Japanese curry restaurant, but like, what the f is this? Like,
That's crazy.
the-
Is that shorts on the left?
Yeah, like what are these things? Like I can kind of see a logo there. There's Baku Matsu Curry right underneath. Kind of makes sense, but the graphics, like how do they get this approved? That's the tone I want to set for like all of the work that you're about to see. Is this good? Is this like good design? It looks kind of terrible, but I don't know why I'm drawn to it. There's something there, and I don't think this is like maybe it's not real work because I found this on Instagram. But they put themselves out there by being really rough and like being really just like, I don't care, this is maybe a sketch. You're not gonna know, maybe it's a real project, we're not gonna tell you. This is bonkers. Like this is like, what are these colors? I can't read any of the type. What is that really weird clown in the back? Is he a clown? Is he a Chinese bureaucrat from the Qing dynasty? I think maybe it's because I'm looking at this out of context. It's just things like this that like drew me into their work. They are an established studio, right? They have 2 offices, one in Shanghai, one in New York, that arguably the 2 biggest cities in the world. And they managed to like make work like this while still staying around. And this is an example of like something real. They made this for Apple. It's to showcase like one of their new Apple monitors by showing crazy graphics with a lot of typography, gradients, a lot of graphic shapes, still very edgy, you know, even for Apple. You don't expect graphics like this to be on an Apple website. But this is an example of like some of their more maybe safe client approved work. But still, they managed to like get that across some other stuff that feels maybe a little bit more safe, but even like in a corporate or a commercial setting, like this is edgy, this is like weird. A lot of the type on the right is like illegible. What they really love to do is just like mock everything up on stationery. I have to talk about this logo first because it's just insane. It's for a podcast or a talk show called 2CH. And then in the back, it's in Chinese, but they just slap the 2CH on top of the Chinese and just like cut out, like erase the other strokes and just haphazard. And I kind of see the intention there, but it just doesn't make sense. Like I would never be able to sell this to a client, and that's why I'm so in admiration. And they love mocking everything up on like plain stationery. This is just like a mock-up you buy off a website. And it's like, why do you need to show all these business cards? Who even uses business cards anymore? This is just like a A4 sheet of paper, right? Like, is that a poster? I don't know. This is titles for like an experimental film, yet you can't really read anything. The through line with all our presentations today, just people making crazy shit. But there is a system behind everything that you're seeing. Kind of randomness, you know, but also like carefully crafted randomness. I really like this one. I don't even know what this is for. Even if it's just a poster, I would hang that up on my wall maybe. It's crazy. The numbers are weird. I wanted to show this website case study because this is just so stupid to me. All the type is distorted and they're just mocking that up on plain white backgrounds, on random mock-ups, envelopes, more boxes, 2 different sizes of the same box, just to show how the type is like, it can stretch and do different things. But do you really need like 10, 15 images to show that? But they still did it, and they put it on their website as a real case study. And I think that's awesome. Chances are it's not like, none of this is real. These are all mock-ups. They sell themselves as people who make cool things, and they don't care about like trying to get big commercial clients who, you know, would never fuck with this stuff.
Even though they do.
Even though they do.
You guys think?
Yeah, if you look at their website, they have Apple, they have Nike coming to them for work.
Big fashion brands.
Big fashion brands. You know, I worked at a studio where like we spend like months and months on case studies, like carefully crafting every single piece. For these guys, it's like, let's download a bunch of stationery mock-ups and like throw our screenshots on it. It's another example of like a similar case study for I think it's a film company, but it's like the same graphic on every single mock-up. I think it's more of the gravitas of like, we make cool graphics, we don't care. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they're just not aware of themselves and they just think that's the right thing to do. I can't tell, but that's why I like it. Same idea for this one, just a ton of stationery.
I like the split in the middle.
Yeah, like who uses stationery anymore? But it's cool as fuck. I really like this one for Kappa. And then showing some more like just well-crafted, like really careful design. I do want to show you guys that they know what they're doing. Like they are actual, real good designers making beautiful stuff. I like this one because it's just so simple, but so big. Like who puts 2 letters like on a tag and it's just like the whole thing is just a big fat graphic. And then this one, I think it's another fashion company, but very like 90s inspired, like really simple, really weird color combos. It's all about vibes, I think. Like you never think about like a single element that like, oh, this looks off, but like You think about it as a whole thing, and their whole body of work just makes sense. This is a deep cut. The thing on the right is actually a philosophy group back in the 90s called the CCRU, the Cybernetics Cultural Research Institute, and they made this really esoteric, occult-inspired numogram that's supposed to be like a fortune-telling, or like, you know, kind of like the I Ching-inspired thing. And I'm pretty sure they like pull that reference, which is just so crazy because nobody knows about this. This one just plain like looks bad. Like I think it looks bad.
I love this.
Yeah. This doesn't make sense. Like why would you blow that whole thing up and fill the entire envelope? Just the same design, like repeated in different combinations.
This
Really
is that photographer, right?
Yeah, I think so. This is a cool calendar. I like that it was so fractally and frenetic. It's just repeating like the letters of the months in different patterns. When you zoom out, you see like the bigger letters made by the grid.
Oh wow.
Very Carol Martins.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. They can make cool stuff like this, but they make some bad stuff too. Maybe to them it's not bad. To me, it's like sometimes bad, but I like really like that spirit.
I really have to say, every piece of work feels very musical to me in a way of how like they do composition and layout and like variation between intensity and low intensity. Like how they lay things out is like the opposite of like Swiss and German for the most part. It just feels very free form, almost like jazz music. I would be shocked if one of them are not a musician of some kind, honestly.
That's a good analogy. It is very jazzy, like knowing the rules but breaking them all the time.
It almost feels like even the way they're presenting the work, like the best possible graphic design student portfolio ever. And it feels like that was their like concept behind the studio to present it that way. Because otherwise I'm just like, yeah, like you said, like why do those case studies look like that? Nowadays students buy like really nice mock-ups, but these are the mock-ups that like we bought when we were in school.
Yeah, or you would shoot them yourselves. You would shoot plain white paper on a background and then like mock it up later.
Exactly. It feels like the work of somebody who was like never told no in their life.
Yeah. It just baffles me because they're so buttoned up and professional in certain instances, but in other places they just like, they look like amateurs in a way.
To me, it just feels like aware of what design is expected to be and is like intentionally taking a hammer to that.
All of their brand systems are like not about an individual logo. It's all about like how things flex onto like different forms.
Yeah, I think they are doing a good job of showing like systems and how one logo can like permutate into different forms, but at the same time, like no one uses stationery anymore. None of this seems true to the 21st century. Hey, I'm not trying to talk shit on them. They're really cool. I think everyone should be doing this. Like take your shittiest, craziest, worst looking stuff and put it out there and make it look real so that you can push the boundaries of like what's acceptable. If this is every designer, then that's what they're gonna get, right? Like every studio should look like really fucking crazy.
I wish, man.
I mean, especially that they're training the AI to take over. I feel like we need to flood the internet with crazy stuff so the algorithms that take over for us will at least do something interesting.
Well, that's our show.
Should we...
Until next time.
So we need to build up our community. We have a Discord. We don't really advertise it, but for this will be the first time. So link below. We're doing live portfolio reviews. If you're interested in hearing us give our thoughts and blab about your work, join our Discord.
We're really appreciative of all the recent traction on our last Bing Bong video. That was really great to see, and we're glad we're putting like value out there. We want to just do more of that.
If you have any ideas for videos you want us to make, join the Discord. We'll be 10 times more likely to listen.
Thank you.
Bye.